Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am Annemarie Petersen. I'm speaking to you all the way from South Africa. Normally, I co-host the Oneness in 12 Spheres of Life webinars with my dear friend and the worldwide coordinating director for Humanity's team, Steve Farrell, who unfortunately cannot be with us today. We will certainly miss him, but Caroline Chang, who has worked on these webinars in the past, and is also a very competent host of her own Awake to Oneness radio program. She's co-hosting this program with me today, during which we will be talking with our very special guest, Adam Hall. We will let Caroline introduce herself personally soon, and properly soon, but maybe you just want to say a quick hi to everyone now, Caroline.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Annemarie. I so enjoy co-hosting the 12 Spheres of Oneness programs with you. This is our second time together. I just like to mention to the viewers the way they can bring in their question. There is a Q&A box that they have that they can enter their questions. So if they have any questions for Adam, please bring your questions in as soon as possible so we can get to as many as we can during the hour. Thank you so much, and thank you, Annemarie.
Fabulous. Thank you, Caroline. Yes, it's wonderful for me to be with you once again, and I'm sure we're going to just get better and better with this. So at this point, I think it's important for me to just explain briefly the flow of our conversation for today, so everyone knows where we're going and how this is going about. First of all, I'm going to share a little bit about Humanity's team. And then I'm going to ask Caroline to introduce herself just in a little bit more detail. And straight thereafter, Caroline will read our short overview of the sphere of the environment to set the stage for our discussion today. And then thereafter, I will introduce our special guest, Adam Hall. And thereafter, Caroline and we will go straight into our conversation with Adam. Right. So again, as Caroline said, there's a special place for you, our viewers. You are participating with us, so please make sure to let us have your questions. We will be so happy to attend to as many of them as possible. Right, so a little bit about Humanity's team then as we get started. In Humanity's team, we see there's only one presence, the divine, that we are all an offspring, embodiment, and an expression of. We regard all of life as sacred. Since we were founded in 2003, we have done our best to live our lives as an expression of this belief. We try our best to be this way with each other and our common home, the earth and her resources. And as Steve Farrell likes to say, we don't want to do this in any heavy or overly perfect way. We just want to do our best whilst having fun at the same time. Living one's life conscious of the underlying and inextricable, interrelated, interdependent, and interconnected reality of life, that is also a fundamental scientific fact. This has great implications for how we see ourselves, others, and life as a whole. Awareness of our oneness leads us to realize that we are responsible for the world around us. We realize we are all part of everyone and of everything. We believe that living this truth is essential to solving the world's most chronic and acute problems and vital to creating sustainable peace, harmony, and happiness. During these webinars, we get into the tangibles and we talk about emerging processes, systems, institutions, and organizations that reflect this paradigm. These webinars, the Oneness in 12 Spheres of Life, explore what the world looks like when we live as one in each sphere of life. So thank you very much, everyone, for prioritizing time to be here for this important and this wonderful and I hope fantastic conversation today. So with this, it is my great pleasure to ask Caroline Chang to share a little bit about herself and then right thereafter to read the short overview of the sphere of environment as we always do with every call. So over to you, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Anna Marie. Like Anna Marie said, I have experienced hosting actually my own show, Awake to Oneness Radio. I have been hosting for a little over 2 years now, and it's my great joy. I joined Humanity's team about a year ago as Steve's assistant, and I just love this because Humanity's team and Awake to Oneness Radio are so in alignment with the truth of oneness and inspiring the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. This sphere, the sphere of environment, the sphere deals with our natural surroundings, Mother Earth, which we all live upon. You know, we are all connected to the environment and to Mother Earth, when many don't think of it that way, but we truly are. The environment is the context in which we all live within and all the systems on Earth. In the same way as our body has a trillion, over trillion cells, we people, we're the cells of Mother Earth. You know, we're all connected. All life is interconnected and interdependent. This has been proven scientifically for those who are more leaning towards the science than spirituality. Right now, spirituality and science are saying the exact same thing, that all life, including Mother Earth, is interconnected. As we enter the 21st century, humanity is faced with many global issues: the climate change, depletion of natural resources, using alternative energy. All these, we really are at a state where we are going to actually, you know, destroy the earth, and by destroying the earth, we'll be destroying ourselves if we don't make a change. A new approach is desperately needed. And so what we want to do is respect and honor Mother Earth. And so happy that we have Adam with us today so he can share more on how we can do this. Thank you so much. Back to you, Anna Marie.
Wonderful. Thank you for this description, Caroline. This really sets the stage for our discussion. So with this, it does give me a great pleasure to introduce our special guest, Adam Hall, today. Adam Hall is the managing partner and founding steward of the EarthKeeper Alliance, a dedicated group of leaders who accept the great responsibility of tending to the earth in service to its people. The Alliance protects pristine land so that overdevelopment does not take place and the land stays in balance with the environment. Adam formed Renaissance Holdings in 1989, a regional real estate development and investment banking firm. Now, since that time, Adam has acquired, developed, and redeveloped a broad range of real estate asset classes, including land development. He also has extensive expertise in structured finance, having raised in excess of 1.5 billion in equity and debt from private and institutional sources alike, resulting in an exceptionally broad range of high net worth and institutional capital relationships. In 2007, he began to acquire large tracts of land for conservation and development, which is so unusual, isn't it? So Adam has 27 years of expertise in all facets of real estate and has developed an alternative model that makes allies of developers and environmentalists within the larger context of the human and nature ecosystem. And it is about this and a whole lot more that we are looking forward to be talking about in our conversation with you today, Adam. And a really warm, warm welcome to you.
Well, thank you all. It's great to be here with you and all of Humanity's team and all us that are on this beautiful planet that we share together today. It's a real pleasure. It's an important time to be here and share together and activate together, as well as love and share the life that we enjoy so much together. So honored to be here and look forward to a lively chat with everybody. And let's see where we can take this today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. Before we came online or before we came live, we did say that, we did warn you that this hour normally goes so quickly because we have a lot of fun as well. We learn from one another, but you know, we're supposed to have a good time together. So Adam, on the EarthKeeper's website is a brief description of the revival and the restoration of what you call the magic land of the Big Sur Ranch to its full glory through the EarthKeepers Alliance. Now, there's always a story behind the story. So as I was looking for the story behind the story, I came across your fascinating book, The EarthKeepers, Undeveloping the Future, on the internet, where I read about an experience in your life some time ago that you say was a catalyst for your metamorphosis from an earth conqueror to an earth keeper. So we'd like for you, if you don't mind, to share a little bit more about this big change in your life that led to the formation of the Earth Keepers, and obviously then to the Big Sur project and everything else that you've done and your present life, Adam.
Well, I'd be happy to share a bit, and I'll never forget one of my first weeks that I was a fledgling real estate entrepreneur way back when, and I was at a big conference, and a big mucky-muck billionaire man was speaking there, and he shared with me his mantra, his way of being successful in the world. You know, how does he show up as a successful businessman, and which in many ways is indicative of our business psychology today. Thankfully, we have a great movement afoot in the business world. The Conscious Business Institute and Academy is doing some great things at Humanity's team as well. But what he shared was, you know, whether you are a lion or a gazelle, when the sun comes up in the jungle, you better run like hell.
Sure.
Eat or be eaten. And so I operated by a mindset of an earth conqueror. And there are billions of earth conquering mindsets on this planet now. It's not a right or wrong, but it's the effect and the impact is obviously showing its wear and tear. And this is one reason why we're here today addressing that. So what occurred for me, Anna Marie, and thank you for asking the question, was simply, well, I went to the jungle. I went into the Amazon, and well, it's not eat or be eaten. Everything works in concert, in harmony for the greater good of the whole. And the predator-prey mentality, while applicable perhaps in the wild plains and being eaten, is applicable, but it's not applicable as the core of humanity. And I realized that my humanity, in the depths of my presence of who I am, that life, those actions that I was taking as a predatory capitalist, as a earth conquering capitalist, were not only not serving me, they certainly weren't serving the planet. And ultimately, I decided I had to give up the Tums and get on with my life of finding a greater happiness and greater service. So it was simply a breakdown of the old system and the old structure to step into what is possible, what is really going on in the depths of Mother Nature, and the wisdom that she shares, because she has offered so much to all of us, but I can speak only to myself at the moment. She's meant everything in my life and in my journey, because the natural world really feeds us the greater wisdom of who we are as Earth ourselves, in connection with Earth. So that's a bit of the journey into the Earth keeping world from the Earth conquering world.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I also know, staying a little bit with your personal life, on one of the videos I saw also that I noticed that you had the question, where you asked yourself, you know, do I want to be a grandfather? Or, you know, it was something about that. So it was important for you as well to be a grandfather, maybe in the sense that you wanted to make sure that you leave Mother Earth, that you do that needs to be done for Mother Earth, to make sure that you are in the end a great grandfather also in that sense. So that was wonderful to pick up on. So, and also, I think in many ways, as people, we do, and I think it's often taught in our religions, that we see ourselves as human beings as the rulers of Earth. And I'm sure we'll go a little bit more into that as we go into the conversation, but I think often we have a wrong idea of what that means. So before I hand over to my co-host Caroline, because I'm sure she would have she would like to to share some thoughts and to ask you some questions as well. But before I do that, Adam, the EarthKeeper Alliance. Maybe this is a good point to share with us. What is the EarthKeeper Alliance all about? And then how would you describe an Earthkeeper?
Well, those are two wonderful, wonderful questions. And the Alliance is really an amalgamation of others that are caretakers and stewards of Earth. And the very idea is one of how do we gather together in the place as one, as Earth Keepers. Now, we're all in our own ways Earth Keepers. We may not know it, but in one way or another, Earth sustains us. And no breath, no air, no earth, no life. So we all get that. And ultimately, the idea really is to continue the gathering of the Earth Keepers, the greater convergence of the tribes, whatever that may look like for each of us, whether that's indigenous tribes or members of each of the 12 spheres. There's certainly a gathering and a momentum as we move into the hub of this sphere, into this place of our oneness. And there seems to be some velocity to do that. So I put out that call to others who tend to the earth, who steward the earth, and to connect with them, to activate each of us within our own communities, in our own lives, to come into a greater relationship with the earth. So the Alliance is just that. It's an amalgamation of those that are connecting together to share the greater consciousness around Earth, our relationship to Earth, but most importantly, our relationship with one another. And that speaks to the heart of your second question, which is, what is an Earth Keeper? And this is actually misunderstood a bit, because ultimately it's associated or becomes defined as an environmentalist. And that's simply not the case. It's far more vast and extensive than that, because indigenous cultures all over the world speak of the Earth Keeper, the wisdom keeper, so to speak, the Earth Keepers, the one that tend to the very essence of not only Earth, the physical Earth we walk on, to walk on Earth in beauty, but also the Earth of ourselves and the Earth of the essence of our humanity, and where we connect in our soil and how we are all rooted together in this place of Earth. So an Earth Keeper is one that is tending to every aspect of that soil, of that Earth, whether it's the rocks or the trees or the air or the fire that we share or the love that we share. It's a stewardship of humanity. So I took it upon myself, and through various initiations and rites of passage, and took the journey to recognize that this is something that I hold as an indelible truth in my life, but also as something to help others and to collaborate with others to uphold in their lives. So earth keeping is it's an honor for me. It's a duty. I believe it's a greater responsibility that we have subjugated to other parts of our lives, and that we've given priority to other things in our life. And it's important that we give this the priority and the honor that she deserves, because it really is an honoring of ourselves and the divinity of who we are. So the Earth Keeper is one that tends to all life and the divinity of all life.
Wow, that is wonderful. That is so inspiring, and I can see why it is that we are able to learn from you. Thank you so much, Adam. So Caroline, I'm sure you'd love to come in here.
Thank you so much, Anna Marie. And thank you, Adam. That was so, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm speaking. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I wasn't sure if you could hear me. Yes. Thank you, Adam. I love how you shared your story about how when you were in the corporate world and then you realized that, you know, that what you were doing was you were focusing on competition, which at one time science did say it was like a dog eat dog, where, you know, the fittest survive, and it was all about competition. But now the new science is discovering that that's not true, especially within nature. They're observing it's not competition, it's cooperation. And that's what makes the community thrive, when they're working in cooperation. So just like human beings, humanity, we were under the impression that we had to be competitive and knock someone down to get ahead. But that is shifting. That train of thought is shifting, where cooperation, our connection to one another, our connection to Mother Earth is also important, that we really grow and flourish and survive as a society when we cooperate with one another. So that was beautiful, the way you shared that, your evolution and shift from competition to cooperation. Thank you so much. So I will now turn it back over to Anna Marie. Thank you, Anna Marie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caroline. So as you're speaking about the EarthKeepers, an interesting thing here in South Africa, in Africa, we have, we're talking about indigenous here now. In Africa, we have, well, it's a consciousness, we call it a consciousness, a way of being, a worldview that we call Ubuntu. And basically, this revolves around the idea that says, I am because we are. And here in South Africa, Humanities Team South Africa, we are just about to launch a wonderful project called the Ubuntu Keepers. So in that sense, we are also gathering what we call a new generation and a critical mass of Ubuntu Keepers. So people who know, who, well, as you said, we all have this knowing inside of it, but it's to remind one another and to go forth and to be the carriers of this torch. So in that sense, we're all holding hands around this beautiful flame. But then to your next question, Adam, in the book, The EarthKeepers, the subtitle of that book is Undeveloping the Future. And so this is not a common term, because it's all about development, it's all about growth. This is what we see in the world out there. So how does undevelopment work? And I know that you said that you also create a specific program or a specific approach. If you can share more about this with us.
I'll be happy to, and that is a great question, Anna Marie. And I'd like to focus primarily on the root source of the undevelopment, because it really speaks directly to the structure of our current state of the mind and the current state of humanity as a doing world. And that the constancy of having to do something, acquire something, step on something, go somewhere, you know, constantly programmed, wired, all those things. Why, those are all part of our reality. What essentially is happened is it's left, well, it's overwhelmed an aspect that has been long forgotten. And that aspect is one of the greater wholeness of who we are and our greater connectivity, not only to one another and our humanity, but our connectivity to Earth. So in the expression of that in my own personal life, really emerged through a process of undevelopment. So the undevelopment isn't some novel idea that we go and take down all these buildings and we stop doing all the things we do. Oh, not at all. It really speaks directly to the mindset of where we are, not only in our humanity and in our lives, in our programmed sense of being, of just doing. So the thought ultimately occurred through the greater teaching that I have experienced through as a longtime student of the Course of Miracles and many years of traditional indigenous practices, shamanic practices and whatnot. And the process of unwinding the doing mind is one of undoing. And it's quite artful in its own way, but it's very powerful and potent, because ultimately one of the ideas here is to create space within our own life existence, so that we find through our meditative practices, our walks in nature, so that we're connecting and creating the space that allows the divine, that allows the beauty and the essence of who we are and the core of our humanity to fully emerge. To do that, it's undoing, and very much involves an aspect of unlearning and unthinking. So the very idea of undevelopment is rooted in this sense of, how do we create space, sacred space, within our land, within our communities, even if it's simply a square within this community, or even if it becomes a place that we all gather, that could be 5 by 5 feet. It doesn't have to be thousands or millions of acres. Ultimately, the greater undevelopment is the one that each of us, I believe, are really, really focused on. We're not looking at it, but we should be really focused on is that space within ourselves, because that's where it begins. If we want to evolve our outer world, my sense is it begins with our inner world, because the outer picture is a reflection of an inward condition. So undevelopment and undeveloping the future brings in the presence and the space, so that we can create not only the love and the peace and the divinity within our own life, but we can reflect that into everything we do in our lives, with our children, our families, and when we go to work. This is the idea of undeveloping space, undoing, unlearning. It's very, very powerful, and it's changed my life. I can't even say it's really not a degree. It's just changed my life entirely. I see a whole new world through undevelopment.
Yes, I can imagine what comes. I'm thinking right now as he's speaking. Once I watched it was a video by Eckhart Tolle, and it was recorded at one of his retreats, and it's all about. It was really all about how we also put labels on things. That's also part of development. We always want to describe something, and he was explaining how we would, for example, walk in the forest, and how difficult it is for us to even put not to put labels on things. So for example, you would walk in the forest and you'd see a beautiful something beautiful in nature, or say a beautiful tree, and you say, oh wow, but that tree would look beautiful in my garden. So we are so used to wanting to own things, and wanting to take nature home, which is not all a bad thing, but we are so used to wanting to own things and to label things, and it's about letting go. I think this is what you're also trying to get at. It's about letting go and letting nature be. So and with this then, Adam, I think the story behind the Big Sur Ranch, I think this is also something that our audience and our viewers would be interested to hear a little bit more about. What happened with the Big Ranch? So what kind of a state was it in when you discovered it or found it? How did it come about that you changed it? And I'm certain this resulted in other similar projects, not so?
Well, it is the root of applying essentially tools that we have. How do we apply the tools that we have and do things that are in a conscious way that serves the greater good of the land, that serves the greater good of our community? So what you're asking is, it really speaks to that, because there's a great adaptation underway. And we think it's a lot about sustainability, but it's really about adaptation. How are we adapting the tools we have to be more effective in the world on a go-forward basis? So if you looked at this as an example, to take a earth-conquering mentality and combine that and integrate that into as a conservationist, as a land steward, as a steward of humanity, as an earth keeper, as we integrate those things, what do you do with the skills and tools you have? So those all that necessitates an upgrade, a redesign. It necessitated for me unloading of tools. The toolbox doesn't need to have all these capital skills and all these things that come along with it, all this baggage. So then that goes to creating space. So the idea of coming to a piece of land like Big Sur was really about an adaptation and a radical modification of my own personal life existence, not only personally and professionally, but about a full integration of those two spaces. You know, what is my passion? How can I serve on a greater basis? And ultimately that was a up-leveling of my life in real estate and looking at things from a different lens. And this is another great benefit of creating space in our own personal life, of the undoing, is because it allows us to look through life and look at what we do through a different lens. And as I begin to do that and really connect with Earth and care for the Earth and really come into a deeper relationship, she speaks to me daily, I recognize, well, there's another way to approach this, and there's new tools, but I don't need to junk the old tools. So we can do a bit of both. We can move beyond the old story. We can adapt our tools, just like any indigenous culture has done over the years. You got to do this or you don't survive. We're facing that right now, although in many ways, I think we're just dancing around it and touching upon this. And this is a significant time on this planet, not simply because of what's happening with our climate, but really what's happening with our inner climate. Inner climate change is where the game's at. And that's really what I am focused on as well. Inner, outer climate. How are we effectuating change from our inner to our outer climate, adapting the tools and the skills we have and the community we have. There's more people today that are gathering than ever. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm just honored to be here with all of you today. As you can see, I'm getting a little excited.
No, wonderful. Oh, that is fantastic. Caroline, I'd love for you to come in, and I'm sure you'd like to share something or ask Adam a question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We do have some questions from listeners, but I want to comment on Adam, the undoing mind. That is so beautiful. I love that terminology because I understand that the undoing is we want to control everything with our mind, but and try to fix things on the outside, but the outside is really just a reflection, as you said. I just discovered a new terminology for the outer world. It is a holographic, multi-dimensional mirror. It is just a reflection of what's going on within us individually and within us collectively. And so when we go within, the undoing is so beautiful. What you said, learning to undo and unlearn. And I think that is just so beautiful. So I just wanted to let you know how I love that, what you shared. We have a question. The first question that came from Andres. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. Her question is, I don't see very clearly the difference between keeping and conquering. Aren't they the same? So that's a question from a listener.
Andres, thank you for that wonderful question, and it's a very insightful question. And the answer is there is no difference in many respects. But when we drop into the place of the oneness and the integration of the two, we recognize the indelible nature of humanity. In the presence, for example, in the presence of my own heart, in the presence of my sense of compassion for others, the conquering world just doesn't feel right, it doesn't work, and it no longer serves. So what I'm sharing with you is your wisdom is very true. It is two parts of the same coin in the dualistic world. But the perception of which I approached that duality shifted. Instead of being marred in the conquering and ultimately stepping into the keeping, it was an integration of that aspect of my personal journey that was the conquering nature. And it was not only the transcendence of conquering and not only the transformation of conquering. It was the transfiguration of the conquering nature within. And as such, in the transformation and the transfiguration, the conqueror became and emerged into the greater earth keeper and the soul keeper of our greater humanity. So you're spot on with that. And it's an evolutionary process that integrates the true in real time. So I like your question. It's a great question. And it's not one or the other. It's both. And how do we move forward to share the light that is fully expressing itself from that deeper truth within all of us? So thank you for that great question.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think tied in with this, Adam, the whole question of conquering is the wonderful reality of the wild and the wilderness. You have a reverence for the wild and the wilderness, and isn't it? I automatically think about our little ones, because this is something that happens so often to children, is we want to tame them and we want to, in that sense, conquer them also in a way. So we naturally think about children when we talk about being wild and when it comes to the wilderness. And we certainly want to preserve for our children future generations. And so in that sense, we want to tame, we think we need to tame the wild. So, but with regards to the EarthKeepers movement, so there's not, with the EarthKeepers, you started an EarthKeepers movement. And I see that you also, also some things happening for children. But you speak of a nature deficit disorder versus what we often see in life out there when children don't behave. They are labeled as having an attention deficit disorder. What are your thoughts around children and families when it comes to our disconnection from nature?
Well, thank you, Anna Marie. And that's really up right now in my assessment, because they are our future. My work is motivated by my children and their grandchildren, and in general, all our children on Earth. And this is clearly a reflection, this nature deficit disorder, the idea that's been around for a while, and the idea of our lack of relationship in general is one that is been influenced by so many cultural, societal, familiar imprints. And the reason why I mention this, and I'm glad you brought it up, is simply without that deeper connectivity to our own sense of earth within ourselves. Hey, this is about each of us. This is about our families. It's not out there. We had a survey in America just a few months ago, a very reputable scientific survey that showed the vast majority of Americans feel it's happening to somebody else somewhere else. Well, that's simply a misbelief, because it's happening to everyone, everywhere. And it's all about what we can do as people that are connected to nature. The more we're connected to nature, the more I see that we're able to receive the kind of answers and solutions that we really need to gather together, to gather our tribes together, to converge, to synergize, to innovate, to literally innovate and invent this new earth that's emerging. Without that, nature deficit disorder will become something that not only prolongs the circumstances, but ultimately could help to lead to the demise of our existence as we know it on this planet. So it's an important issue, and it is about our children, but it's also about each of us. If we don't find that, then my sense is that we're really going to miss perhaps the most important insight of our time. Mother Nature's wisdom, the connectivity to Earth, and that of our children, our future, and their light to shine us up forward.
Yeah, you know, Adam, I was 40, already 40 years old when I made my big shift in life. And I can tell you that without a doubt, I have learned the most about myself, about my fellow human beings, and about life as a whole through the indigenous knowledge, through the knowledge of our Ubuntu, I am because we are. And, you know, through that, I learned for the first time really, you know, about the rhythms and the cycles of life. We talk about natural laws, you know, the laws of vibration, the law of divine oneness, the law of attraction, all those beautiful things. It's just amazing what I've learned through that indigenous knowledge. And in a big way, it's a pity, because when that wisdom teaches us about our connection with nature. And I think we have a long way to go to bring all of that back. Because as I said, I was 40 before I came in touch with our indigenous knowledge. And so the biggest part of my grown up and adult life, I never knew about this. So I think we can go a long way by bringing this information to children when they are still small, you know.
Well, indeed, and it's not simply information; it's also the connection, you know. And,
yes,
and let's
the experience.
Let's make sure we're in that connection. And I just returned not too long ago from an extended sojourn into Patagonia and Argentina and the deserts of Sonora, and I took a journey and I wrote another couple books. But the point I really want to make is that the message is very clear that I am receiving and hearing, is that connectivity that you speak of is a great imperative. And the ability to create an inner warming through a connection to nature, an inner warming, will go a long way to helping support the resolution of the outer warming, and will certainly do a lot to bring peace.
So we can see.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can see that when we speak about the rhythms and cycles of life, we can see that it's not something that's happening out there, but it is also who I am. When we speak about the natural elements like earth, fire, air, and water, we can see that those are not separate from us. We're not standing on the earth. We are in the earth. We are part of the earth. All of this is inside of us. And I just found that to be so still today. Yeah, I visit those, you know, that knowing and that wisdom, and that helps me deal with my everyday life, and it enriches my life, maybe more than anything else.
Well, wonderful. And I think that's fantastic, because that inner landscape is the place that is our home. And unless we're in relationship with that, then we'll miss everything else, basically. We can function and operate, do what we do in the doing world, but ultimately there is so much more vastness and beauty and divinity that we in this connecting place of our inner nature, and the beauty that offers to each of us. So I'm with you all on that one, and I think the idea here is really, what can we do to activate ourselves? What can we do to tune into our greater sense of relationship with Earth and with each other? Because in that place, we will move forward in a very powerful way beyond this problem that's been created. You know, we can keep our head in the sand, fine, but the results of that, I don't think any of us are going to like, you know, and these kind of things show up at our back door. Okay, now it's time to address it. Well, no, today's the time to address these kind of issues. And I sense that there's a great movement happening around that, yet I know many remain fairly lackadaisical, remain in the survival mindset, which is understandable, but it's really about what can we do to activate and move beyond all of this, because that is what's up right now.
So true.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, sorry, Anna Marie. I just wanted to bring in another question from a listener. Okay. Thank you so much, Adam. It's so wonderful what you're sharing. We have a listener, Leon from Bolivia, and his question is, what experience does Earth Keepers have harnessing impact investing/strategic philanthropy. Sorry, I'm having trouble with the question. Philanthropy to partner with indigenous tribes. Leon, I hope I did justice to your question.
Well, I see Leon's question, and thank you, Leon. And the EarthKeeper Alliance functions in the United States and the United States territories for a variety of reasons. Mainly, we are a B corporation. We're a for-profit company that has a noble endeavor and to be of greater service primarily to the environment. Now, notwithstanding that, there are many folks that I would recommend that you could touch basis with, and I would certainly just Google these. But there's many tribal alliances. World Weavers is one that I know in so many ways that are really about gathering the tribes. And so what I would encourage here is in lieu of focusing specifically on a region or a tribe itself, I would focus on how to weave other tribal nations and other indigenous cultures into a greater experience, because within the weave comes the answers and comes the support and the collaboration and the synergy necessary to either capitalize something, to call in the necessary resources, to use best practices. So to me, this is a collaborative engagement and a collaborative question that you're asking, an important one that necessitates a greater outreach. And isn't this what's up right now anyway for all of us? Aren't we asking for this greater collaboration? There's no better way to do that. We have great technology, we have great resources, people care very much. So I would love to say, connect with others. There are many others that can help support your projects that are more specific to your needs in the beautiful, beautiful nation, Bolivia, I see that you are from. So thank you.
Yeah, and maybe to that point, as an outflow of the Oneness and 12 Spheres of Life initiative, what a dear teammate, Janet Gunn, had gone and done for us, she has started a Facebook page for each and every one of these spheres, what she calls them sectors. So there is a sector, environment sector on Facebook that is part of Humanity's team, and this is a wonderful place, and this ties in with Barbara Mark's Hubbard idea that people connect in the fields that they are attracted to and where they experience a passion for. So certainly for people on this call who are attracted to the environment and making a difference there, is to connect in that on that Facebook page and on that platform. So I'd like to invite people to go there. Also, what I wanted to say, what came to mind for me is when you were speaking about how do we make things happen, how do we change, and you were speaking about the importance that everything starts from the inside. So in that sense, Adam, what we're saying is it is about a dream. In a way, we all carry the dream of our oneness. Do you agree with that? We all, deep inside, we all know we are one. And David Gershon of the Empowerment Institute, he says if we wanted to create change in a big way, what we need to do is we need to create a critical mass of people around a common dream and around a common vision. And in that way, I think our Oneness Declaration, for example, plays a very important role because it contains 9 points that speaks to different aspects of oneness. So it's really about this, it's easy to say, so we're gathering around oneness, but often people say, so what is this oneness all about and how does it work? And I guess it's something that one has to grapple with, and that is how we grow on the inside.
Well, you speak to an indelible truth of our humanity, Anna Marie, and yes, we do carry a memory with us into the world, the finite world that we live within, the memory of our oneness, the memory of our greater connectivity to Source. And the challenge in the emergence of moving from a dual existence into an expression of our oneness is oftentimes that we're experiencing that in our outer world, in our outer duality, which is very much the case. That's just human experience. Yet what I think we often don't do is in what Mother Nature does, it moves into the center point. So look at our spheres for a moment. If we look at our 12 spheres and we have a hub. So the idea is everyone is invited to come home, return home, to be the hub of that memory of oneness that we already are. And so my sense is one of the great challenges is, of course, the journey, the bridge that takes us from the journey of the duality into the oneness and ultimately into a new operating system and a new emergence of that memory of oneness into our finite reality. So this is really an important point because many of us are on this journey. Many, many more are coming on this journey. We're here to serve one another, to support one another, to love one another, to guide one another, to whatever that may be for us on this journey to oneness. But ultimately, the presence of the oneness within ourselves is the activation of that presence of love, of creation. And there's no better place, in my sense, in the world, the finite world, than to find that in Mother Nature and the connectivity with Mother Nature, because ultimately the mirror of oneness comes through very clearly, not the filter of another human being. And that's not to dismiss the human experience. That's only to say to engage the experience that really holds the oneness in a dual experience. So I too am with you. The memory that we carry of oneness into our greater reality is one that is being fully activated. And I call out to the world to be part of that activation. We can dwell in our problems, and we can dwell in our shadow, we can dwell in our awakening, and we can dwell in the books and the workshops. That's fine, but wait a second, there's something else here, and it's right there for us to not only taste, but it's right in our heart, it's right in our inner world, it's right for our asking. And I say, let's ask, and let's go together as we emerge fully into the light and the oneness of who we are.
Oh, wonderful. What a beautiful invitation. Caroline, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Anna Marie. That is it's so true what you just said, Adam, and it just touches my heart, because in truth, and it is, as you awaken, people are coming to the truth that this is, as Anna Marie said, a dream. And I love now my new definition of this dream, which is a holographic, multidimensional mirror. It's just a mirror. It's just a reflection. It's a reflection of us individually, because that's the mirror that we experience, is what is within us is our reflection that we will experience. Collectively, we are experiencing the collective mirror, but it's just that, it's just the mirror. It all starts from going within, and within, at our core, we are each love. At our core, we are the essence of love. We are the essence of oneness. We are the essence of truth. And we've just forgotten who we are. But when we awaken to who we are, that is when we will definitely connect. And it'll come differently. We all awaken differently. And it's beautiful, because we're all unique aspects of the divine. So I think that is so beautiful. Yes, Anna Marie, could you share a few things before we go into announcements?
Yeah, you know what, I think we have about 5 minutes left. So maybe, Caroline, I think this would be, you see our hour is up. So I think at this point, maybe it's a good idea to ask. I'm just scared that Adam will still have something, you know, that he feels is important to leave with our viewers and listeners as a last thought, and the same for you and I, Caroline, and then we can go into our final announcements. So over to you first, Adam. What is it that you would like to leave our viewers and our listeners with today as we close?
Well, I invite each of you to explore your why. Why now? Why here? Why us? And to listen very deeply within to that place of that oneness, that memory, and call upon that memory of the divine within each of you and your greater connectivity to not only Mother Nature, not only to one another, but to really the love of who you are and the light that you share. So I ask, please check in, check with your why. And also, we need you. We all need to come together, come forth, come share your light, share your story. It's a great imperative of our time, because when we share the light and we share the story, we connect deeply in the memory that we carried forward from the place of oneness, the place within ourselves. And as that memory fully emerges, there too will the greater community, our greater life, our greater wholeness, peace, love on earth will prevail. And so I feel this is greatly emergent, and I encourage you all to do the same. And I want to thank each of you for being here today, for listening, for taking your valuable time to be here with us, to have this most important conversation, to be continued conversation, I hope.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It has been such a great honor and a pleasure and a blessing to have you with us, Adam. And I'm looking forward to our next conversations. Thank you so much for taking the time, for being with us. Caroline, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna Marie and Adam. It's so beautiful what you said, your invitation to everyone to share their story, and to also share their process of awakening, because we are all unique aspects of the divine, and we need each other. We can't do it alone. We have to do it together. That was so wonderful. I want to ask Adam, though, could you please share with our listeners how they can find you, where they can go to find you?
You can find me in my email, adam@earthkeeperalliance.com. Excuse me, ahall@earthkeeperalliance.com. ahall@earthkeeperalliance.com. Please feel free to send me a note, and I'll be sure to get back with you as timely as I possibly can.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adam. Okay, we do. Humanities Team, we host these programs weekly, and we are a nonprofit organization. We are a 501c nonprofit organization, and we're working off of volunteer and donations. Very few of us are paid very little, and your donations are so greatly appreciated and so greatly needed. It costs roughly about $1,000 to produce one of these programs that we do share for free. And this is a list of our recent donors from the past month. We like to honor all of our donors, and doesn't matter how much, 5, 10, whatever you can give, whatever you can share will help to grow Humanities Team and allow us to bring more of these programs to everyone. So thank you so much for that. Also, Humanities Team is very much involved with Conscious Business Initiative. The Conscious Business Initiative is an alliance of 5, including Humanities Team nonprofit organizations. There's Humanities Team, Club of Budapest, Goya Peace Foundation, and Fowler Center for Business out of Case Western University, Reserve University. So we invite you to go to Conscious Business, go to humanitiesteam.org, click on Conscious Business Declaration, read it and sign it if it resonates with you, and invite your friends, your family, and your coworkers to read and sign the declaration, the Conscious Business Declaration. Also, Humanities Team has a community circle. Community circle is a community of people doing their best to live the truth of universal oneness, and it helps also to sponsor and helps us to put on these programs. It helps to fund Humanities Team. It is only $10 per month or $100 for the year to join, and you have access to all of these programs all year round, and as well as all of the Global Oneness Day programs. Thank you so much. Anna Marie, can you please share about the Oneness Declaration?
Oh, thank you, Caroline. Yes, I did share it briefly in our conversation. Yeah, I think many people will be familiar with our Oneness Declaration, but yeah, we are putting some new energy below underneath our Oneness Declaration. It's just the most beautiful thing. I think it's just a powerful mirror for us to know who we are, what our relationship with one another is. And this declaration has been translated into 18 languages. So people from many parts of the world can go onto our global website and read the Oneness Declaration in their own language and sign it and share it with their community. We really invite you, because we're collecting signatures. We want to go back to the United Nations with 100,000 signatures. So please sign it and share it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna Marie. Also, our upcoming program on living in oneness. Our next program is with Reverend Howard Caesar. Yes, Reverend Howard Caesar, and that will be Thursday, August 17th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Actually, I will not be co-hosting, I'm sorry. I will be hosting that program with Reverend Howard Caesar. Steve will not be in that day. So I get the honor of actually hosting my first Living in Oneness Summit. So I'm excited about that. Please join us. And we would love to have you. It is about, the program is about moving beyond the separate self into the true self. Thank you so much. And also, our big event of the year is coming up. Before you know it, Global Oneness Day 2017. This will be the 8th annual Global Oneness Day. This is an all-day summit, and this year it's actually going to be a video program. See, Humanities Team, we're moving into video. So it has been audio up until this year, but we will have an all-day video program starting roughly about 8 a.m. Pacific time, and it will go to 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. It will be over 12 hours. We have amazing guests. You do not want to miss it, especially this year because we're video. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Anna Marie. Thank you so much, Adam. Our program, and thank you, listeners. I want to thank our leader, Steve Farrell, Dee Myers, Annette Kennedy, Garth Catterall. All of this is made possible by all these wonderful people, all the wonderful donors. And I'd like to also thank our co-hosts, my co-host, Anna Marie, and all of our wonderful guests for being with us. But Anna Marie, I'll let you close out with a few words.
Thank you. I think it was a wonderful discussion. It really warmed my heart. And I'm sure our listeners and our viewers feel exactly the same. Thank you so much again, Adam. We're looking forward to having you again in the near future. And we are so happy to have you as our dear, dear friend. Thank you to our team in the back, Garth, Caroline, my gracious co-host, and our audience. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you very much.
Blessings, everyone.